I mean, you're very intimidating.
No, I'm not. I'm wearing fucking cream color, like, soft shit right now to match you. How am I intimidating?
You can be to people who don't know you. You have like this RBF face sometimes.
Well, why would I give a shit about people who don't know me? Let them stay away. I don't need.
You're like a big grizzly bear. Where I understand that sometimes you have to have that persona of when somebody approaches you. Like the valet guy yesterday was like, "Do you need help?" And I looked at your face. You're like, "What do you want?"
I didn't hear what he.
I
All right,
was like,
first of all,
"He's asking if you need help. Calm down. You don't have to reach for any weapons, sir."
wow. And we live with a special guest, my baby. Hi, babe.
Hi.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
It's been a long while.
It's been
It's been months.
months. Yeah.
Hopefully, I
Yeah.
remember how to do this.
Yeah. You've gotten rusty, babe. You've gotten rusty, but welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure. The His and Her series is back. We've been taking a break, not from each other, from his and hers. So we apologize. The one and only, the incredible, right? My baby. All right, babe. What are we talking about today? What was the inspiration for this episode?
The Forever Conference that we,
The Forever
uh,
Conference.
a Match Made in Heaven Forever Conference from our church, Oceans Church
Ocean
in
Church.
Irvine.
Shout out to Oceans Church in Irvine. Love you guys. And what an incredible
Pastor
event.
Mark and Rochelle
Mhm.
Francie.
Yeah. Great people.
Amazing pastors.
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
Oh yeah. Pure comedy.
Entertaining.
Pure comedy. Pastor Mark he should have been a comedian.
Very intentional.
Yep.
A lot of good advice. And although we're not, I mean, legally, I guess, we've signed some papers, but I have a ring. We live together. Since
Yeah.
we've been dating, we've
I think
taken
there's a legal way. Well, we talked about that. There's a legal marriage and there's a marriage in the eyes of the Lord,
Mhm.
and
And
there's cohabitation or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
domestic partnerships.
Yeah, like, well, you already know my opinion. I care about our status of marriages in the eyes of the God before any legal document. The state of any state doesn't matter. Yeah,
Plus,
so,
I needed to see if I really want to marry you.
okay.
It's been 3 years going on 4,
Uh huh.
practically.
We're sitting here wearing matching.
His idea.
Yeah, which
It's
actually
cute, though.
I am. Yeah, which
It's
I'm
nice
pretty. I'm pretty.
shoes and all.
I've gotten a lot of compliments on the fact that we're wearing matching hoodies.
We both
Shout out
have.
to this brand, Comfort brand,
Comfort.
whatever. Just they're not sponsoring me. I just had to give it a shot. Buy this.
Good job, babe.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
I used to be the guy that would see that and say gay.
Why? Now that you're in love.
And I actually picked these for us.
Mhm.
And how many people complimented this?
Mm-hmm.
A lot. So
Yeah. See
you're
what happens
welcome.
when you do things with love? It's not so gay after all.
Not so good. But
So,
back to the
let me ask you this.
conference.
What did you learn from attending this conference?
I got notes.
Let's hear
I
these
got-
notes.
3 sentences. Well, no, that's page 2. I got
Front
notes
and
right here,
back.
but I have notes on my phone. I got notes on my phone.
Mhm.
You know I took a bunch of notes on my phone.
So, what
Wait,
did
why
you
is
learn?
why is your writing in my book?
Because I needed more room. I didn't have any room. See, I did the front and the back, and then I said I
Wow.
needed more room.
Wow.
So, what did
okay.
you learn? What was your take from this?
Well, there's a few things. One of the biggest things that I took away from this couples retreat, right, marriage conference event is that you have to wake up every day and try to serve each other. Just be a servant to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is that goes directly with this. There's a quote that says sort of when in a relationship there's a giver and there's a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
The receiver does not know how to stop, and, and the giver will continue giving until it's too much. But I think in a relationship where you both intentionally want to serve each other, um, is a good idea. Why wouldn't it be? It's
Mm-hmm.
at least worth a shot. And also praying together. We sort of have been doing that, praying over each other. Well, I pray over you when I pray, and you pray over me when you pray. Only God knows what you say about me.
Mm-hmm.
But like sitting down and praying together is kind of awkward.
It's not awkward. It's just new, and you get
Awkward.
shy because it's a place of being vulnerable,
Yeah.
and that just levels your relationship when you're able to vocalize what you want God to do for your relationship.
The prayers are intimate.
Right. And if you're intimate in the bed, why should you not be intimate with your words? If you're taking this relationship to a new level, if you're intentional with your relationship, then that means it should be uh it should be something that's on the higher level of what you want to do for each other, right? So if you want to be intimate with somebody, then that means it should be okay for you to be intimate with your words if you really want to be with this person.
Yeah. Another thing that we learned from the conference is that you do have to come to your partner for forgiveness, right?
I
Come.
don't know. Did you learn that?
I did. What? But then the partner has to forgive.
Yeah.
Like Pastor Mark struggled with the same thing that I struggled with. It's crazy to find out that your pastor struggled with the same thing you struggle. And I struggle with porn addiction. Yay. Um,
Kyle can answer the
I didn't.
yay.
I didn't know. I did not know it was an addiction.
It's
Yeah.
because society makes it a normal thing because you're a male and men need to go through this phase. Oh, he's a boy, let him. But yet if a girl did it, she's a whore.
Did what?
If I
Slept
mean,
with
it's
slept slept
sad.
slept with other men?
No, if I don't know,
Watched
sometimes
porn?
it's that thing where if a woman did it, it'd be labeled differently, you
Well,
know?
yeah.
So as a man, it's normal to society. But now that we're both I mean, we've been going to church. It's going to be a year in June.
Mm-hmm. For our church, yeah.
And we both had faith. We had our faith individually. I know the day I met you, I prayed and I asked God, if he's for me, bring him back. If not, then it wasn't meant to be. And I know that for a fact because I led my
Fact.
life like that. I started to in like my I think my early 30s because I'm just turned 37. And I would ask, God, if this is for me, then make it happen. If not, take it from me. And you came back. And now you're here and I can't get rid of you.
Wow.
Just kidding.
You're a my studio, homie.
So I think it's important that if you lead with your faith in God, then it's going to add more value to your relationship. And we've both have been learning a lot about that. It was you who decided that you wanted to go to church, which I'm grateful and I'm glad because I didn't have the best experience growing up with religion. And I was
Well, you
turned
come
off
from
by it.
Catholic faith.
Well, I come from both Catholic and Christian. As a child, I went to a Catholic church with my sister, and it was rough. I mean, they would force things. If you didn't do something, you were a sinner in God's eyes. And it was to a point where I felt in fear of God. And then as I got older, I had friends that were going to church and that were Christians. The whole week or the weekend, they'd go and do their thing, and then Sunday comes around, they'd go to church, and then they'd do some pretty risque stuff, and it didn't it didn't sit well with me. That's why I thought, well, I'm not going to go to church and be a hypocrite and then, you know, party and stuff. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand that. And I know my mom didn't. I know she talked about it, but it was hard to find a church because my mom was trying to raise two girls on her own, plus work the shift that she did as a police officer. And I, she had talked about it in my like late 20s, and by then I was already, living my own life. I'm a young adult, and when you finally decided that you wanted to go to church, I was glad. I was grateful.
It took you a while to warm up to it, though.
No, it didn't.
It did.
No. I think I went the second time that you went, or the third time. Because I think the first few times, it's because I was still working late, remember?
Yeah, but I'm like, even in church initially, you weren't like as enthusiastic as you were like this weekend.
Well, yeah, because I had to take my time to really understand the church, because sometimes some churches aren't what they really play themselves out to be. And I didn't know if that's how this church was going to be. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the people. I liked the pastor, and I liked what they were all about. And they didn't make it awkward for people.
No, it's a good church. And shout out to Maddie.
Yeah.
Fiorenza for introducing me. He was sitting in that chair about a year ago.
I mean, a different chair, but...
Well, that's that section of the room. And told me about the church, and rest is history. And that Ocean's Church been good to me.
I think it's important that we have led ourselves to go to church, because I think it's opened up our relationship as far as communication, understanding each other, knowing that when you are being led by God, you are also aware of the negativity that can come to a relationship. I mean, I've been learning that if, the times that we've had our disagreements, we can fall short to those disagreements and leave each other. But if we remind each other that when two people become get into a harmonious relationship, they say even in Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill says that the devil will come for your relationship, because he knows that when you're in sync with harmony and love, you guys can take over. You guys are powerful. And so what happens is he tries to bring in infidelity or jealousy and envy, and that's why you have to be led by something stronger and talk to each other and understand, like, hey, look, we're disagreeing right now. We can't let the darkness, the evil, dictate our relationship. And going back to the fundamentals of having faith.
I'm going to read. I only got a few notes in here, but this is a good one.
He can't read his chicken scratch. Give him in a minute.
No, the benefits of praying together. It allows you to share vulnerabilities and insecurities, which is what I touched about earlier. And it opens great communication, and it strengthens the bond between us. So
I think you're doing a lot better with that. I mean, from the beginning, there's always room for growth. I've always said what was on my mind, and you sometimes didn't like it.
I think I'm okay. Okay, so lately, now that I've been praying every day, or almost every day, some days, just wake up and it's pure chaos or I'm running late, but for the most part, every day, I realize the more I prayed, I realized the more I don't really know about a prayer or how to pray.
Mhm. It's
Because
practice,
another
just
thing
like
that I learned is
meditation.
that you have to declare when you pray. Or that's another thing that I wrote right here. It said, when you pray, you got to declare, because then you create. Declare over. Like when I pray, I declare over you. I learned that. Instead of just asking, you just you declare. And I've heard that on multiple different occasions. In this one podcast page that I follow, he talks about the same thing. That there's a way to pray. So those are the things that I learned. Oh, another thing that I learned, I told you about earlier, is that you gotta love thy enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't like love your enemy, but pray over people you may not necessarily like. But you gotta pray over them. So for me, that's a tough one to swallow. Is I believe, why would I pray over somebody I don't like or
If
can't stand?
the thing is that you need to pray over people, because what if they don't have anybody in their circle to teach them how to be better? And maybe by you showing your character with love, obviously authentically, that might change them to becoming better. And if they don't, it's not your responsibility. It's not your business. You have to leave that to something bigger than you. But if you're going to change who you are and respond to somebody's negativity with more negativity, then you're being inauthentic to your own character. Because when you allow somebody to make you angry or act in an emotion that's not at a higher state, like happy or positive, then you're allowing that person to take charge of your emotions and dictate who you truly are. And that's a real test that we have to live by every single day and in your relationship. If I do something that you don't like and you react in anger, and you respond in anger, are you doing any better?
No. And it's not necessarily not okay. That's one thing, if not to react when someone makes you angry, but it's another thing to going out of your way to pray for them. So I am still learning how not to react when I'm angry. And as I'm learning that, I learned that I have to pray over the people that make me angry. Okay, so that will take some time to get processed. Am I opposed to it? No. Do I particularly enjoy it? No. But do I understand that it is a godly way of going? Yes. Because you become a child of God when you understand how to forgive people that hurt you.
You have to. Because you're not in charge of how they live their life. You have to give them grace. What if people didn't give you grace and you had a shitty day, but yet you allowed your shitty day to affect your character, and you acted out of character and treated somebody badly, and then they think you're a piece of poop. And then that's not really who you are. So imagine you're you don't want to pray for somebody who had a bad day, but they're really not that bad of a person. You just got an experience of them because they allowed somebody else to dictate who they are. So when you have a business deal that isn't going your way, instead of acting out and lashing out at them, all you got to do is just, God, make this work out. If not, remove them from me. And I hope that they can be better as individuals for their own benefit. And it makes you feel a lot more calmer and at ease because you know it's out of your control. Because when you allow somebody to control your emotions, then what happens? It makes you sick. And the dis-ease that it can produce down the line. Why do you think
Some people
all of
just have
these
negative energies.
health issues began to arise after 2020? All
What?
the stress that it put into people and the worries, and I mean, I'm not trying to digress, but
Yeah.
that's why you have to pray for people, because some people don't know how. And that's why you have to give them grace and pray, because then that just means you're able to get closer to your faith. And it teaches you how to be a lot more authentic to why you came here. We are all born with love. It's society and our family, our upbringing, and people around us
I
that
don't
has
think we're all
tainted
born with
us.
love. I
As
don't think.
babies?
No. Yeah. Didn't you just read that somebody, the police found a newborn in a
I get
dumpster?
that. I get that, right? I
That
get
was
that.
not love.
It's not, but babies feel like they're loved, like they're loving. They don't know anger. They don't know any.
Oh yeah. So you talking about the concept of nature versus nurture.
Okay.
Like when babies are born, they're not born evil unless they have some kind of mental disorder. But babies are not born evil. They're not born racist. They're not born sexist. That's a taught behavior.
Right.
Yeah, that we learn from society.
Right.
Is that what you're referring to?
Right.
Yeah. So nature versus nurture.
Mhm.
It's the nurture that teaches us to be a certain way.
How you respond to somebody's negativity shows a lot about your own character. And it allows people to respect you and look at you from a more, not positive, but they just look at you differently. It's not what you say, it's how you say it to people.
Sometimes you gotta say it, colorful
Maybe
words.
that's also your character, your upbringing, your culture.
No, babe, I've seen this in real life. I've worked with it. I've done it for a living. You're telling me that in line of duty, when I came across some piece of shit people, some real piece of shit people, you telling me what I should have told them is pray with them at the moment or over them at the moment when they clearly have committed evil things, sometimes in front of my eyes, or try to commit evil things. Do you respond with the same language or the same level of violence, if not more?
Why?
Because sometimes it takes, I would even go far and say evil to stop evil.
Says who?
Says, I just said that.
So you came up with that theory.
If you want to call it. It takes, okay, what about the fact that it takes a violent man to stop a violent man?
Okay. But there's
Okay.
also people that have, what about?
Okay, hold on. So if we go to the mall, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's an active shooter at the mall,
Mm-hmm.
what would you like me to do? What would you like me to do? And what you already know what I'm gonna do because we talk about these scenarios. So what would you like me to do? You want me to do like stop, collaborate, and listen? No, just kidding. Say let's pray together. Time out, buddy. Let's not shoot people. Let's pray. Let's pray.
I'm
No.
not saying that.
Okay, so
either.
I will draw my weapon and I will stop the threat, right?
But you're gonna try to digress the situation, right?
What do you mean digress?
You're not gonna just automatic. I mean, if he shoots like a kid, okay, yeah, I get what you need to do.
If he shoots anybody, period, I'm gonna
right,
smoke that person.
Right. But at the same
And I hope to God he holds my trigger finger in my arm as steady as he always did before.
Okay, so what about?
I've actually prayed to God before. I was I would work patrol. I would always say if I ever come across a situation like that and I have to put a bullet between somebody's eyes, I hope to God he keeps my hand steady like he did when I would train and shoot and stuff.
Right.
So I've actually prayed for that, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because it is my duty, responsibility to be violent at the moment.
Right. It's a form of protection. I get that. I understand that.
So you understand why I can't stand there, but like.
I'm not saying to be a freaking hippie and like a flag.
So you agree with the
fact
you agree with the fact that when shit is the fan, you're okay with the fact that I need to be violent.
I'm not saying not to be violent. Like this is not trying. I'm not trying to argue or disagree. I'm just trying to get you to understand
Yeah,
my opinion.
I
Like,
I get it.
understand that yes, evil people do evil
Yeah.
things. Okay, but what about those parents? I'm pretty sure you've seen one. I know I've seen one where they're in court
Mm-hmm.
and they're there with the shooter
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
they've
I know.
prayed over them.
Mhm.
And they've like, it takes a very wise, strong character
He takes it.
to
Yeah.
have that type of conversation with somebody after they take the life of their child. There's always going to be different perspectives of people when violence is involved. But to rebel and want to choose violence because somebody went and lashed out, to me, I don't think adding harsh violence when it's unnecessary. You know, like that one guy, I saw it on TikTok where his daughter, I mean, serves him right. His daughter came home and said that she was bleeding between her legs and she came home from his brother's house.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked. This is what I heard. He went and he dissembled his brother without asking anything. His daughter came home. It was, I don't know, it was like 6, 7, and said that, you know, she was pretty much,
Raped.
yeah. But he didn't know the details. He didn't ask the details. He just went, brother, and killed him and disassembled his body.
Just disassembled his body.
Pretty much. Chopped it up into pieces.
Disassembled the cubicle.
And so I understand the frustration. But remember, when you are in a place of anger, you do things that you're not mentally all there. And although that probably happened, there's also, to some people, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I get that. I understand that perspective. I 100%. But at the same time, you have to understand that without getting, you know, too spiritual, religious, but God watches everything. There's a consequence to everything. Why are you going to put your life in danger if you have other kids? Now your kids don't get to have a father.
Okay, but look, for example, story of David, right? He killed Goliath.
I haven't gotten to that point, but go ahead.
David killed Goliath, right?
Okay.
From the distance.
Bow and arrow?
With the rock. No, with the rock.
he
He
just
had
tossed
the
it?
sling. No,
How
it was
many?
a sling. It's
Like,
Can I
slingshot?
finish the story?
Sorry, just kidding.
He had a sling with the rock.
Mm-hmm.
They used that as a weapon. It's a tool to like hunt and defend yourself. Because David was what do you call it? He was taking care of the sheep.
Mm-hmm. He's a shepherd?
Shepherd, yeah. David was a shepherd. And he wasn't even a soldier. He just went to deliver some food that his dad told him to deliver to your brothers in the camp. So he went, delivered some, cheese and bread.
What kind of cheese was it?
I don't know, babe. Read the Bible. And that's when he got there and he saw Goliath, who was a giant, and the Israelites didn't want to fight him. They were scared, but he was talking smack. Goliath was talking smack about God, and David got frustrated, and so he went and he picked up 5 rocks, and used one and basically killed Goliath. Walked up to him, took Goliath his own sword, cut his head off, and raised it above. And David eventually became king. So God approved. What you gonna say about that? And David became king. Obviously, there's more to his story, and he had to go through some struggle, and gain a lot of more wisdom. But so Saddam, my boy, that's in the Bible. He chopped his head off.
I'm not.
That's hella violent.
Okay,
I've seen people's heads get
cut
cut off.
Yet. Again, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I'm just more in this softer where I think that sometimes some people, not all the time, obviously. I'm not saying like have some grace for somebody who kills you or something, but at the same time, he's watching. Whatever you do, there's whatever
He
we
didn't
do,
just watch. He helped David.
Okay.
That was David's thing to do.
Okay, well maybe I need to understand the Bible better.
what I'm trying to say is, I believe we've gotten soft as Christians,
Mm-hmm.
and because we think now that God accepts everything and
I don't
everybody.
think it's just Christians. I think
That
just the population,
Well, I don't know.
society in
I'll tell you
general.
about Islam. I was born and raised in a Muslim country. There's certain shit they don't tolerate. They will cut your head off.
Oh yeah.
Granted, not the country I was born in, right?
Right.
But I'm just saying, Christians have become soft. I mean, for God's sake, what are the names? Back in the days, they were they had holy war. Man. Anyways, it'll come to me. They were killing in the name of in the name of God.
Mm-hmm.
They were killing in the name of the church. They were crusaders. Speaking of violent motherfuckers, let me tell you what they did. They were like boiling people, skinning people, burning people alive, cutting heads off. Like they were bad.
So were the
Bad.
Indians.
Huh?
So were the Indians.
No, they were bad. They were worse. And I know, like Indian Americans, Indians back then,
Native Americans.
Native Americans, they were pretty ruthless. But I'm talking about Crusaders were way before them.
They're barbarians, weren't they?
They weren't barbarians, not necessarily, no, but they were pretty brutal. But they did it all in the name of God. What I'm trying to say is Christianity has gotten soft, and I think that's where you necessarily disagree a little bit or don't agree, is because you also have your empathetic female point of view, and I have my less empathetic point of view, and also a little bit of cynicism from being a cop and my experience with
And
all
Russian.
and well, yeah, my people are pretty cold. Bottom line is, no, like my job, and I believe at the time also, even now, my job is a protector. Like I have to be able to to get violent if necessary.
I also do think that that's something that you should speak to God about when you're having challenging times.
I mean, I don't walk around trying to kill people.
Obviously.
I don't have anger issues.
I'm just
I have
kidding.
temper issues.
Just kidding. No, you don't.
I do
mean-
have temper, but I don't have like violent issues.
Right. Thank
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
'cause we
People are gonna
wouldn't be
think I'm
here.
fucking beating the shit out of you.
No, hell no.
I do have potty mouth. Yeah, I do. I do curse, although I curse less now.
I mean, you're very intimidating.
No, I'm not. I'm wearing fucking cream color like soft shit right now to match you. How am I intimidating?
You can be to people who don't know you. You have like this RBF face sometimes.
Well, why would I give a shit about people who don't know me? Let them stay away. I don't need.
I'm not saying that. I'm just
More
saying that
people in my
sometimes
life.
you're like a big grizzly bear. Where I understand that sometimes you have to have that persona of when somebody approaches you. Like the valet guy yesterday was like, "Do you need help?" And I looked at your face. You're like, "What do you want?"
I didn't hear what he.
I
Alright,
was like,
first of all,
"He's asking if you need help. Calm down. You don't have to reach for any weapons, sir."
wow,
Just
you're gonna give
kidding.
him ideas.
I'm
First
just
of all, I was
kidding.
already in the back of my car, unloading my car. You standing next. I'll tell you what happened. Okay, this is a true story. If you want to give him a story, give him a full story. You're next to the car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the back of the trunk, right? Unloading the trunk. This guy comes up to your side of the door.
I mean, he
Okay.
was still
And
a
he
distance.
mumbles something. Okay, I didn't hear him say, "Do you need help?" I heard like,
Right.
and he's sitting next to you.
Right.
And he's just standing next to you. And
Yeah.
he was dressed different from the rest of the guys. So I was like, "What?" And that's was like, to me, it was like a protector reaction. Like what the fuck? Like, why? First of all, why'd you come so close to us? And then I realized he's a valet. And then you say he's asking for help. And that's all like, okay, cool. No, I'm good. Thank you very much. My initial thought was, why the fuck you coming up close to my woman right now in my
Just
car?
saying.
And you stood up and you walked up and you're standing there next to her. So in my initial reaction was, who the fuck are you and why you standing next to my woman? And then when I registered his valet, I was like, okay, cool. Oh no, I'm sorry, thank you. We're good, thank you very much. I wasn't trying to be a dick.
But who were you?
Because I don't know who the fuck the guy is and what he wants.
Kidding.
It's a natural, it's a normal reaction, you know?
Right.
Judging me and shit.
I'm not
Don't
judging
come up to
you.
me and whisper some shit and stand like
I mean, he was kind of a distance. So
to me, but next
that's
to
what
you.
I'm saying. Like, I think he asked me, and you didn't hear him,
Oh,
so you saw
yeah, I heard
that.
him mumble something.
Right.
Yeah. But also, like when maybe it's a leftover habit as when I was on patrol
Right.
in uniform. I never let people come close to me
Right.
because what you saw with Joey. Joey got stabbed.
Yeah.
You saw how close the guy was close to, it was right next to him. So I never allowed anybody, and you know
Right.
what? It served me well,
Right.
and God has always looked after me. No, like, don't come close to me. Keep your fucking distance. If you're closer than the distance of my kick, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not even a
You
punch, a
can't just,
kick.
like,
Yeah,
I mean,
my
you
right
don't have
foot was
to
always
kick,
cocked.
like, you can always, like,
No,
knee him.
I need that distance. Some people say, well, depending who you talk to, they said never the arm distance. To me, it was the kicking distance because I can kick you further than I will punch you, and it gives me distance to go to take a few steps back and get my duty weapon out if I have to. But it's tactics.
Do you
Yeah,
like
don't come
kung
close to
fu
me.
fighting?
Do what you gotta
Ninja
do,
kick?
man. Whatever you gotta do to survive and go home.
Okay, so one of the things that I learned was
That's right, because I ran out of notes.
making sure God is the foundation of the marriage.
Yeah, that one I'm kind of like, what is that? What exactly does that mean? Making sure that God is the
Foundation,
foundation of
because God is what? Love, protection, peace, harmony.
punishment.
So if God is a foundation of relationships, I think that is how the relationship can continue to be fruitful and abundant. Like that concept I explained to you in the car, it's like a triangle, right?
Yeah,
If you have God at the top
yeah,
and then the two at the bottom,
yeah.
and we're both in sync with Him leading, it allows us to understand that you're leading in faith. Like, I have so much faith in God and in myself that I don't have this thought of you doing any type of infidelity.
I ain't got no time for that shit.
Because if you do, I just know that that goes against who you say you are. And that just means you're not a true man of God. And I have enough faith in God knowing that if that were to happen, I know that it was for a reason. And I'm not going to ask God why. I'm just going to accept it and know that there's something else that's better for me out there. Because then all that makes you look like is a fool. Because then you're being a hypocrite. Because if you're going to say that you're being led by God, but then you do otherwise, then you're not the man for me.
Yeah.
And, some people can look at it as, oh, you're naive, or question why God does what He does. And sometimes you just have to give that blind faith. Hey, if this isn't for me, then remove it. And that's exactly how I initiated this relationship with you. Like, when we had our first argument, I remember leaving from your house and I prayed, I'm like, God, if this is for me, then you'll give me the right words. You'll allow me to just give Him His space, and I have to be okay with the outcome, however it is, because I'm not going to chase anything, nor am I going to step out of who my character is, and I'm not going to beg anybody. And if you know that this is for me, I have to trust that you're going to make it happen. If not, I have to be okay with it. Even though it hurts, I still have to be okay with whatever outcome you give me. And so when we were sitting there and we had that discussion like 2 days later, and when you asked me, when you told me, oh, you need to gain my trust back. And I had to tell you, I don't gain anybody trust back. That's not my responsibility. You're in charge of your trust. I'm in charge of my character and what I do. Now, if you don't want to trust me, that's none of my business. That's your business. All I can do is be true to who I am, show you who I am. You determine whether or not you want to trust me, because I'm not in charge of that. And what happened?
What happens? You irritated me when you said that.
No, I'm saying, like, yeah, I irritated you
Yeah.
because your ways
here we are
of
still.
being were like, wait, what? It caught you off guard because maybe you're used to that type of like, oh, you need to get my trust back. But maybe I just opened up your eyes to a different perspective, and where I showed my dominance and my confidence in who I am.
Well, my trust in you is directly dependent on your character as a person,
Exactly.
and vice versa.
Right.
You know, but it's yeah, the concept will be the same. One of the reasons, I would say the biggest reason why I had to quit porn and deal with my porn addiction is because if I'm gonna sit here and teach and coach and tell other men or young men to quit their vices, I had to face my own biggest vice and work on it.
It's bringing a lot
And I'm
of
still working on it,
your
and it's tough, but I had to, because I was like, how dare I sit here on this camera and say what I had to say, but then go home and masturbate. I just like I couldn't. I knew the guy was watching, so I would say, yeah, he's the reason why I had to face my vice. Probably what the last and the biggest one.
It's a lot of uncomfortable when you're trying to up level yourself. You have to first meet your vices if you're trying to become a different version of who you are. The first step is realizing what are your vices, and then taking the steps to facing them, walking them out of the closet.
But you see, I didn't know that was a vice.
At what point did you realize that it was a vice?
Well, I've been exposed to pornography since a very young age, and
Just kidding.
whatever, I'll say how it is. Yeah, I've been exposed to pornography since a very young age. And now that I'm 35, 30, soon to be 36 years old, I understand it's not a good thing. And before, obviously, growing up as a young man, I just didn't have access to women. So what I do? Watch porn.
Well, at what age?
And then, did I start early?
But that's
As
the
soon as
thing,
I
like,
discovered my pee-pee, it was game on.
what age should it be okay to have access?
What age should it be okay to watch pornography
No,
for
to have
men?
access to a woman.
Oh, ooh, that's a tough one. It's a tough one because it's different for different cultures. I can go to a different country and point at a 60-year-old man who's a boy who's a grown man, and I can point at a 40-year-old man who's a boy. So I can't say there's a specific age to
So
be
then
with the woman.
maybe having... Go on.
There's two lenses to look at it. Now, first lens is, okay, as soon as you can have a boner,
Okay.
go have sex to women, or maybe boner and a little bit of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, early 20s or late teens. But then there's a risk of getting a woman pregnant, and some men, some boys don't have the ability or common sense to even have a child, or they should never have a child. And then God knows when you should have access to women then, because if you're not responsible, if you can't take responsibility of your actions, then you should never have access to a woman. And then there's some people who, like Ted Bundy, they should never have access to women, period, in their life ever.
So then maybe it's a responsibility of the father Or of the man who has this child, and which unfortunately you didn't have, or our generation is explaining that, okay, listen, to a certain extent you're gonna have to use Pamela, but don't overdo it, okay?
Hey, I grew up on Pamela, dude.
I'm sure every other person in
90s kids, we
90s
grew
kids.
up on Pam. Shout out to Pamela
Well, that
Anderson.
goes to having uncomfortable conversations with the younger generation, where I'm sure when we ever have a son, you can say, listen, son, this is what's going to happen.
This is a
You're
1994 edition of Playboy. with
Wow.
Pamela.
He's like, what is this?
What
This
is
is
it?
a long skirt.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It comes with maturity. It comes
Yeah.
with, hey, listen, this is what's going to happen. It's normal. You're going to have to get kind of not used to it, but understand that this is normal, but to a certain extent, because you're not going to get involved with a girl until you realize X, Y, and Z, until you're mature, until you have responsibilities, until you can make your own money, until you're able to have enough common sense to know, hey, listen, these are the pros and cons to being with a girl, protecting yourself. And those are the conversations that you never got to have, and not a lot of men had, or young
Oh, no.
guys had.
I knew about protection. I've known about things like STDs, and I was always scared shitless of HIV. Granted, for example, I've done a lot of stupid things in my life and raw dog when I shouldn't have raw dog.
Disgusting.
But I know, I'm sorry. I am very ashamed to say this right now. And God's my witness. There's been times where I deeply regretted it. But thank you, Lord Jesus, for getting me here in one piece and never protecting me from catching something significant as that. And I've been in contact with HIV positive blood twice on duty, like
Oh, that's
on
right.
me. You know the stories. Once
Yeah.
in my eye, once soaked through my uniform. That was a piece of shit move,
Right.
like by that guy.
Okay.
Screw that guy. But I forgive him.
Good.
But I was scared shitless when I
You
had.
have to.
It's the point is what I'm trying to make is that I don't think, looking back at it now, I don't think young boys should be exposed to pornography.
Okay.
And to go back to your question, I realized that I have a pornography addiction when I realized that I like doing it when I had no girls. I like doing it when I was in a relationship. I like doing it when I was single and I had multiple girls.
So what was it
So the
about?
excuse, the first excuse was, okay, I had no girlfriend, I'm gonna do it. Then I was like, oh, I have a girlfriend, but it's kind of boring. I'm gonna do it. And it's like, well, I have a plethora of women. I'm still doing it. So it's not the excuse. It's me. Like I have an addiction. And then going into our relationship, I was like, I can't let this shit, ruin our relationship. I gotta get a hold. And then I started coaching, and then I started talking about it, and then started getting right with God. I was like, no, I can't. I gotta get my shit together.
And
Yeah.
this is
It's a lot. This had a lot to do with shame. It did.
which
I'm gonna
is a
admit it.
lot of reasons why men have these addictions, because of the shame. Because a lot of men are too afraid to speak up to other men about their problems, or about their issues, about, hey, listen, I watch these things and I know it's not good for me, and they don't know how to be vulnerable. You men don't know how to be vulnerable. And that's maybe why you're here, is to start setting that standard, to speak to other men and let them know, listen, it doesn't matter what your vice is. You need to speak up and be open about it, so you don't go down the same dark path of what you and maybe other men have dealt with. And that's changing up the game. That's breaking these generational curses, because I'm sure a lot more men older than you, which you've experienced, have vocalized that they've had this problem. Because a lot of it's because men don't know how to be vulnerable. Men don't know how to use their words. And it's unfortunate because if more men used their words, they would get a lot more clarity in their life and a lot more better things happening for them if they just open their mouth and use the words that they were instilled with. If you were able to speak to your girl past relationships and let them know, hey, listen, this is what's going on, because I kid you not, the right mature woman would be able to help guide you. But it comes from a man who understands the maturity of, hey, if I can speak to her about this and she's a right one, she'll be able to help me. Because if you're able to take her to bed, raw dog it, then why can't you be raw dog with who you really are? But men don't want to have these conversations, do they?
Why do I have a subtle feeling that you're referring to me in this particular part of the conversation?
Well, who else am I referring to? I'm sitting right here in front of you.
I plead the fifth. Okay, jokes aside, you have a point. Yeah, we are not the best at communicating. I am guilty of that myself.
Well, that's
Maybe
what you have.
because I didn't have a male figure who taught me how to communicate my vulnerabilities. Maybe because I always had to hide my vulnerabilities. Maybe because I am ashamed of my vulnerabilities. Maybe because all of those things combined. I mean, I've gone a long way though. I've gone a long way and still working on it. But yeah, communicating is not. Well, my thing is this: like I assume sometimes. I assume.
And to make an ass out of yourself? So you'd rather make an ass out of yourself and assume than to just speak up. And
But then we both also know that sometimes I speak about the same thing over and over again. That's when it starts to irritate me.
Okay, but that's something completely off topic. Okay?
That's something in general
I
everybody
get
does.
that. But maybe the reason for this podcast is so that you can help the younger generation
Quit watching porn.
learn how to communicate better, because now there's so many more resources just like this podcast and this platform to teach other young men that it's important to share whatever vices, whatever feelings of shame, because they're there to teach you who you are. Everybody has vices.
Yeah.
You know, women, we sometimes sometimes we do a little bit better, but there are some girls who will judge you based on what you tell them. But everybody has it, but we can't allow that to dictate our future, who we are, or our character, because that happened for you. And it's not until you learn that lesson and try to do better so that you can help other people. Like, it's a domino effect. It was a vice. Okay, cool. You accepted it. You learned from it. Now it is your duty as a man and having this podcast to teach other men, young men, hey, listen, this is what I experienced. This is what a lot of my generation of men experienced. Don't be ashamed of it. Why? Because we're all human. We all make mistakes. Just know that there's consequences to it. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. If you didn't have that father, you didn't have any male figure, listen, this is what's going to happen. This is why I'm here, and this is why I chose to create this platform, so that we can discuss these things. Because if you don't, then who will? Because men are so afraid to speak up about what really is true to them. They rather live in this quiet desperation because they're afraid of what they feel inside. But it's normal to feel how you feel. You're still a human being.
It's harder for men, I think, nowadays, is because the society and social media and shit completely twisted the image of what a man should be. See, my generation of men growing up, yeah, we would face the judgment for speaking up about our vulnerabilities because we had to maintain a certain persona, a certain standard for men.
Stature?
Stature. What for men, right? We like my generation of men. We didn't fucking grow up with all this LGBTQ bullshit and toxic masculinity, femininity, all that crap. You know, just like listen, you man, you got a pair of balls, be a man, right? I'm still from a generation like if you're a man, you got a pair of balls, you shut the fuck up and you keep going and you don't talk about your shit. Generations before me were, I think, a little more toxic in ways that there's a lot of alcoholism involved, a lot of physical abuse, domestic violence, etc., etc. So my generations are kind of already getting more resources. I think there still should be more, but it's younger generation of boys. I can't even call them men. They're boys. Are the ones who have a totally twisted fucking idea of what it's like to be a man. And you know me, you know I never accepted the term toxic masculinity up until a few months ago. I finally realized what toxic masculinity is. And what they used to refer to was regular masculinity. And that's why I hated the term toxic masculinity so much because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Until I realized we have these fucking boys out there running around acting like they're men, thinking that being a man is having a bunch of women and a bunch of cars and a bunch of money and a bunch of watches. That makes you a man. No, it fucking doesn't make you a man. What makes you a man is being a man of God, being a servant, being a leader, having even higher standards for yourself. And all of that is tough. It's a lot tougher than what I thought was like being a man. You
But
know, you
where
can get some girls, you can get some cars, you can get some watches, man. But be the exact opposite of that, and being a humble servant and being a man of God. That shit is tough, and that's what's like to be really be a man. You know,
well,
so
I think you're also missing the point because where in there is it where men need to respect women?
yeah.
That
That's
needs to
part of that
be
too.
the top of it because if men don't know how to respect a woman, does that really even make him a man? The woman is the only one who can give a man life. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter how corrupted a woman is. It goes and it look people look at his character on how he treats a woman despite how she is because he's not reacting on her image and who she is a character. He's responding based on his own character. Because she'll be dealt with by a higher source. Just like you, as a man in general, I'm speaking. And that's what men need to understand and learn, that it's how you carry yourself and also how you treat other women
yeah.
around you.
Well, that goes directly to the thing that I've always talked about. That OnlyFans is OnlyFans not because of these women. OnlyFans is OnlyFans because of men.
Right.
OnlyFans really corrupted the fabric of society. Like, what is this? What's the name of that? I'll call her a hoe. Because if you sleep with 1,000 men, you're a
I
hoe.
don't know her name.
What? But you know what I'm talking about,
Right.
right? She
Right.
went whatever. Like that's a
Can,
hoe, dude. There's no other definition I can name called that woman.
well, that's the new era term for a woman who
That's not
just
even,
who
dude.
doesn't
That
respect herself.
calling her that 3 letter word is not. It's actually a compliment. Like in my generation of women, if you slept with with a few guys, or if at least like 3 guys touched you, 4 whatever 5 whatever, you're a hoe. You're a certified hoe. Like if you've been passed around more than once or twice, you're a hoe. 1,000 men just banged you. Dude, calling you a hoe is a compliment.
Right. Well, again, everybody is on their own journey.
Well,
Okay.
okay, I digress. What I'm trying to say is, yes, it is man's responsibility to respect women because that's us men. We've allowed this get out of hand.
Okay, hold on. Men first need to respect themselves before they can respect anybody else.
Well, everybody needs to respect themselves
Right.
before they.
But since we're talking about men specifically, if men don't know how to respect themselves, then they can't respect other people, because who you are within is a reflection of how your outside shows up for you. And if you're not respecting others around you because you're not respecting yourself, then the shit outside is just going to start falling. And a lot of men who, I mean, I have a friend who she associated herself with somebody who he told her he was single, and would send her gifts and all this stuff, and she fell in love with him. And he ended up, she found him on social media, of course, which I don't understand these nowadays, how people think they're going to get away with stuff. But I'm not going to digress into that. He told her all this, and he would send her gifts and all this stuff, but yet he had a whole ass family. He created a whole ass social media just to show that he was single. And she fell in love with him. But that just goes to show he doesn't respect himself. And if he doesn't respect himself, he's definitely not going to respect anybody else. Because if he respected himself and he carried himself like a mature man would, he wouldn't be doing that.
So that's a lot of work, man. You create a whole page portraying your single life.
And that's what I'm trying to... I hope people understand that when you don't respect yourself, there's no way that you're going to be able to respect anybody else at all. Because it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. You mirror what's inside of you. Your outside projects your inner world. And if more people understood that, they'd be conscious of their actions, their words, their ways of thinking, and how everything develops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. It falls on us. It falls on my generation of men to start raising the next generation of men, although they're not our sons and we're not their fathers. Because if we don't, we are fucked.
We're all going to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We're human. We have to make mistakes in order to learn who we are as character, and are able to become better. If we don't make mistakes, if we don't have these little bumps in our lives, how are we going to get to know who we are?
Some of these bumps are not little.
They're not.
They're pretty big. But again, not running away from it. That's what makes you a man.
Not running away, plus learning the lesson. Because if not, it's going to continue to come and bite you in the ass.
Well, don't you think if you actually not running away from a problem and you face it, you will learn the lesson?
Hopefully. Just like our...
How will you not?
Just like our friend.
Oh, my boy. My boy. Yeah, he's back to... It was a full circle. He's back to square one.
And sometimes...
But he's back to square one and with the... So we have a friend. Okay, let's just might as well tell him a story. We have a friend. Let's name him my boy. He sucks at talking, expressing his emotions and vulnerabilities. Like, he is pretty bad at communicating with his spouse or baby mama, whatever, wife. So relationship fall apart. He leaves his baby mama and two kids. They get a divorce. Haven't have custody, but get a divorce. And then he finds this other chick that supposedly got pregnant by him. She ends up being super toxic, like crazy toxic. Vandalizes his car. There's the whole drama about it multiple times. And then he ends up meeting another chick who ends up being involved with people who shouldn't be involved. And long story short, he's back with his wife and kids, living together, trying to figure it out. The lesson here, when I was coaching him, his issues were, well, pornography was one of them. Communication was another. Low self-esteem was pretty bad. Low self-esteem, and there's obviously a father and role model who never taught communication and stuff like that.
There is also a lack of purpose.
There's like no, he has purpose. He does something that he's been wanting to do and been working hard
Well, you
towards.
talk to him more than I do.
Yeah, so he had to learn the hard way, and I told him like you need to cut that toxic one off. You do it like today, and he didn't listen. He let it drag on for a few more months, and his car got vandalized a couple of times. More drama. That same crazy chick that reaching out to the ex-wife and the current one. It's a mess. It was a mess. But after some trial and error, he's back. He's working it out. He's going to church. He's learning. He's listening, actively listening, hopefully. And yeah, hopefully learns his lesson and things go in a different direction for him now. But up until he actually decided to make a difference, he was just like back to back from like a toxica to toxica to toxica and start getting down a rabbit hole.
But we also have to understand people have their time and place when they want to learn.
Oh, he was about to. He learned. He learned. He learned the
And
hard
it's
way.
unfortunate because no matter how much we want to help people
Mm-hmm.
and share our experience so that
Mhm.
they don't have to go through it, they're going to have to go through it. They
Yeah.
have to, because that is their journey. Their journey is to learn the unfortunate situations in order for them to do better, but some just don't. They're so stuck in that path that they don't know how to get out of.
Yeah.
And then they end up getting into other things like alcohol, drugs, depression, suicidal,
Ideations.
and
Yeah.
it's
A lot of that can
unfortunate.
can be attributed to the things we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
Are we done reading from the notes from the couples retreat thing? We're done sharing what we learned. You know, wrapping it up or.
There's one thing that I do want to, which I have done. I've always made sure that even though the times that we've had are challenges, this goes back to knowing and understanding the concept of your words are seeds. Your words are powerful. And although you are going through a less fortunate situation, you can't see that as the outcome. So when we were having our disagreements, I would still
When?
pray. Whenever we've had disagreements,
Yeah.
I still pray the positive outcome. Or I would still be grateful and tell God, thank you for giving us a harmonious relationship. Because every couple has challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that that was the outcome that we're always going to have, and which we have. But you don't pray, you're asking yourself, which is your subconscious mind, right? You pray to yourself, but when you're praying, you're in quiet, and that's when you get closer to God, because you're asking yourself, and they say God is within you. So you're praying to yourself, but in reality, you're praying to God because, there's that connection. So you're telling yourself that you're grateful for what you have. So when we're having conflicts, I still pray and I'm in gratitude and I say thank you. Thank you for giving us this harmonious relationship despite any conflicts that we may be having. The outcome is still greater than the challenges that we have. And I'm grateful that we work this out. I'm grateful that we respect each other. I'm grateful that we look out for each other. I'm grateful that we pour into each other. Because that's what I want the outcome to be. And a lot of people get so stuck in the negativity that that's all they're focused on. And they don't see the outcome of the positive. because they're so consumed with the darkness of whatever arguments or challenges that they're having. And if people prayed with intention, they use their words, they're able to create a much more fulfilling life, a life that they really want to have, despite of what's going on at hand.
I mean, we just argued last night.
Right.
And then we cuddled to sleep. What would you rate our argument yesterday on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, it wasn't like an art, was it?
It was just a disagreement. We weren't seeing eye to eye on things.
You got emotional though.
Well, you have to understand.
You start crying and I won. Okay, just kidding. I didn't win. No. I got sad that you started crying.
We just aren't seeing each other.
That's what was frustrating me at some point the most. And I think what ended up happening is that at some point I just let go, whether I was tired or whether I was just like, I had to let go of the fact that I wasn't mad anymore. I wasn't even frustrated the fact that it's happening. I just wanted to like cuddle you and go to sleep. And surprisingly, I had a wonderful sleep. Maybe because I finally let some shit off my chest, or I don't know. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is we literally had a disagreement, pretty emotional disagreement last night, and then tomorrow in the morning we were praying over each other and loving on each other.
The next day,
yeah, the next day, which is today morning. Yeah, we were praying over each other and loving on each other, and now we're here. And then we're gonna go love on each other.
We have to take ourselves back to in the heat of an argument. It's important to take yourself back to love. And again, you can't put people in boxes when you're in a relationship, and go back to having empathy and understanding and patience. And that's why they say relationships are hard, marriages are hard. And although we're not married by
on paper,
we have
a marriage
where
We've
we
had a
are
marriage
able
for like 3 years already.
To communicate, be outspoken, be vulnerable, talk about it, and understand that, hey, listen, you have your ways of living your life and understanding certain things, and just like I do. But when you listen, you listen to understand, but also giving that person grace.
That's what I had to do yesterday with you.
To realize they are their own person. And although they're not seeing things how I live my life, I can't be upset with them because they're just not understanding yet. We're never going to be exactly the same. Nobody is. And some people get so upset that if their person isn't seeing them, oh, I got to go, I'm dropping you because there's greener grass on the other side. Just like Pastor Mark said, the 10%.
The 10%, yeah. Yeah. People leave somebody. 10% concept, people exit their relationship and marriages because of the 10% that's lacking, and then they find the person who has that, but then that person end up lacking in some other 10%, and that's a cycle that might repeat itself again and again and again.
And it always does, because this is a lesson. If you don't know how to communicate what's going on and listen to understand and try to work through it and be patient, then you're never, no marriage is easy. I mean, we should have asked that couple that's been married for what, 46 years?
46, 44.
46. There were two other couples for 44, and then there was a 46 who won that prize. Yeah, we were at
couples retreat conference, and there was a few couples that were married over 40, and one of them, the youngest married couple, were married for 40 days.
January. They got married in January.
And the oldest married couple was married for 46 years.
Yeah.
And then Pastor
Mark's
and
20. They'll be 20.
Rochelle's parents were married for how long?
56.
Yeah.
And then
their parents, 75.
75.
75 years of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm down.
But back to these concepts, when you declare words of encouragement over your partner, back to prayer,
Hallelujah. Hallelujah, baby.
you when you declare, you're creating. You're using your words. It's spelling. You're creating so-called spells. And that's why people don't understand. Your words are powerful. They can make or break somebody. That's why when we have arguments, we don't go and tell our families.
Never.
Because that can jeopardize a relationship and the bond that you and I have. Because we can get tampered with somebody else's opinion, or we can tamper somebody else's opinion on who we are individually and who we are as a couple.
Yeah, never run to other people when you have an issues. Rule number 1, never run to other people when you have issues in your relationships or marriage. And rule number 2, if you do, at the rare occasion, have to go out to seek for advice, make sure you go to a person who's got your partner's, who has your partner's interest, because that'll bring you together and not shift you apart, away from each other. Yeah, that's some of my wisdom. So far that's been working out pretty well for us.
One very important thing too is also, because your words are powerful, you have to pick and choose what you say. Because if you use the term "I'm leaving," divorce, or any other word along those lines, is planting the seed of distortion, of disruption in your marriage, in your relationship. And that's why a lot of relationships aren't being lived with intention, because people are so quick to just throw out words like it's nothing. You have to be conscious in what you say. And a lot of people don't. And I'm sorry, but a lot of men don't think. And there are women who say stuff without actually thinking about it. But when you really understand the concept that words are
Powerful.
seeds and then they're powerful, you won't say those things.
Yeah.
Because then what's going to happen is that you're going to start looking for, your subconscious mind starts looking to confirm what you're saying that you want to do, like divorce.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you don't have that in your subconscious mind or in the back of your mind as an option, you're just like in business. It just dawned on me, just like in business or everything else in life. Like I don't have like failure. Quitting is not an option for me.
So you don't
Stopping
say it.
is not an option for me. So if I use the same ideas for a relationship, like hey, divorce is not going to be an option. You end up finding a way. Your subconscious mind end up finding the way. The universe ends up aligning things your way. So.
And then you say that, and then it's like you're telling God, universe, source, what it is that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends up happening. Then when it happens, I didn't really mean it. Then why would you say it?
Oh, you know what we're gonna do from now on? Every time I'm angry at you, and we're arguing, I'm angry, I'm at the peak of my emotions. I'm gonna say we're gonna have many babies, and we're gonna live happily ever after, and we're gonna be multimillionaires. And we're gonna have a happy marriage. Why are you recording me?
Say it again.
From now on, whenever we argue,
Mm-hmm.
what I need to do is when I'm at the peak of my emotion, because in order to manifest things, you need to have a thought and emotion attached, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at the peak of my emotion. I'm gonna say the exact opposite of the negative things. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna have many babies together. We're gonna have a beautiful life and a beautiful marriage and be successful financially and spiritually and emotionally, and all the great things will come because I freaking love you, even though you're making me and driving me crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
And it's hard.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's easier said than done.
It's hard. That's not another one thing that I also learned from this Forever conference, and let's wrap it up with this because we got sheets to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about this thing is that it's hard. It's work. I now understand why not one couple, not one marriage in my entire family lasted, and in yours, I maybe know like one or two. That's still better than, but just like your parents, my parents, that shit never worked out, and because it's work, dude.
It's a lot of communication.
It's a lot of communication. It's a
vulnerability.
lot of uncomfortable conversations. It's a lot of being vulnerable with each other. It's a lot of what would I put trust? I won't say trust issues, but it's being able to really trust somebody.
Authenticity.
It's fucking work, dude. Relationships are work. So if you're not ready for this, as a matter of fact, I'm not gonna say that because you're never ready for a relationship. I thought I was ready for a relationship until I started.
Till you met me.
Yeah. No, but in general, like it's work. It's work. I don't know. Maybe when you're 50, you're ready for a relationship, but God knows. Ask me when I'm 50. But I'm telling you right now, like to really have a happy relationship, you gotta put in work. And for the most part, I think we're blessed with a happy, peaceful relationship. Besides the times when you drive me fucking crazy, but overall,
But you like crazy.
we're nah.
You're Russian.
No, I'm
You're
different.
also crazy people.
I'm different type of crazy. I'm not like you
Hey,
crazy.
I'm not toxic.
You're not. I didn't say you toxic. You're
I
crazy.
know.
I didn't say you're toxic.
I know that.
That's two different things.
Toxic can be crazy.
And yeah, but crazy also doesn't have to be toxic. Right. What I'm trying to say is it's work, man. And people drastically underestimate their marriage and they overestimate their wedding, which nobody gives a fuck about at the end of the day. It's a 1 day, half a day, few hour event just to impress people you probably don't give a shit about. And then you put in 1/10 of that effort into your marriage. That's stupid.
At the bare minimum, you have to know what being intentional means. Once you understand what being intentional is, you start utilizing that in everything you do. So when you're intentional with your relationship, things are just going to be working out, not always how you want it to, but it'll work out to a sense that will make sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do things half-ass, you're just going to get a half-ass result.
Well, at the very least, you will understand that if it's not working out, it's not working out for you to understand what it is that will work out for you. You get it?
Say that again.
If you're having a hard time in a relationship, if you're going through shit, it is also happening for you to teach you and to show you that it's not for you. And something else that's better is for you. Make sense? You're looking at me with those big, beautiful eyes, but you're confused as shit right now.
So
it's the same thing as that video you sent me.
I send you a lot of videos.
The one from the manifest, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you're going through shit, it's happening to teach you that shit is not for you. Like, you deserve better shit.
But when it comes to relationships, that's hard to differentiate the meaning behind it.
Yeah, but had you not had a couple of retarded boyfriends, you probably would have not realized that it's not for you. Had I not had some fucking toxic ex-girlfriends, I probably would not have realized that this shit is not for me. But because I had some toxic guys in my life, I realized this shit is not for me.
Right. And also know what and value that you've been through some real challenging relationships in your past, that it allows you to appreciate what you have now, and it's not as serious or it's not as detrimental to your life because you now see it as a lesson learned, but also it's teaching you something for the better. I mean, you've said it before that I am a lot. I am a lot. And I understand why I'm a lot. You finally understand why I'm a lot.
I knew why you're a lot. It just takes a Russian to handle a Mexican. Mexicans can't handle Mexicans, fool.
I mean, they can't. It's a
It
lot.
takes a certain type of man to handle a Latina, and it takes a certain kind of man to handle a wise woman. And then when you have two of those combined, it takes a whole nother type of man to handle. Because not every woman is Latina, and not every woman is wise. And so I told what I told you is that I understand why your exes didn't last, and I understand why fucking one of them cheated or thought you too much on his ass, because you're on my ass, but you are on my ass because you want to be better. But had I been insecure in my own abilities and in myself as a man, then I would have been like, fuck, she's too much. But I'm not. I understand that you are on my ass to make me better, and I accept it. And sometimes you know the shit out of me, but ultimately I do believe that you try to make me a better person. And for that reason, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to change my shit. But had I been some fucking little mama's boy, I'd be like, no, she's asking too much of me, you know.
All right.
Then I ask, then I also expect the same from you, and that's when sometimes we collide.
I
When
mean, they're not as
when a
crazy as
tornado
yours.
meets a volcano, that's what happens.
Mm,
Yeah,
got it. All right. So you want to wrap this up
yeah. I'm gonna wrap this up.
like a cheeseburger?
No, I'll do a bun this time. So thank you guys for watching this episode. It is once again, it was inspired by this is the part when you say gay. It
No,
was
it's
inspired
not.
by a couples retreat, marriage conference, and we did not know what I did not know what to expect.
Well, that's a good thing.
But it was a great
You have no
event.
expectations.
Shout out to Oceans Church. Shout out to pastors Mark and Rochelle.
Francie.
Francie, yeah. Shout out to the whole community of Oceans Church, and yeah, you guys did a fantastic job. To the whole team setting up the event and everything, it was great, and a lot of good, valuable information.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you guys are watching this episode, I would like to ask you, please, first of all, help us out on this journey. Click like, share this with those who you think will benefit, especially couples. Subscribe to our channel, but also if you really want to learn about marriage and how to create a good, healthy,
Unity.
loving relationship, and how to work it out with God by putting Christ also into your relationship, then you should definitely check out the next event whenever the Oceans Church creates this event.
Mm-hmm.
Or in general, just go fucking read books, go work on yourself, go listen to podcasts, go work with therapists. Just be a better person, man. Be a better person for yourself, and that will help your relationship. Like, I never try to be better for her. I told you day one, I would try to be better for you. I try to be a better person overall, which is a result helps me everywhere in business and life, in our relationship, and in general. So yeah, it is time for us to
To go
end this,
get something to eat.
to go get something to eat. Yes, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
She's back, and
I'm back. And
stay
comfort.
comfort. Yeah, shout out to comfort too. But yeah, see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care. God bless.
Toodles. Yeah.